Do you guys realize how quickly and how drastically your life can change when you realize that you have free will? Like, you have the ability to sit in the driver's seat of your life and direct this car, even when it's scary and super uncertain and you have no idea what's on the other side. Like there is always some aspect of your life where like you can take the bull by the horns. I'm using a lot of analogies, but you get my point. You have the ability to change something about your life, and it's okay to do that. Like, there's nothing wrong with trying it. What was making me think about this is, per usual, me talking to a friend and thinking about my life. And when I got to the point that I was like, oh, hold on, I don't I don't have to live in this place. I don't have to be doing this job. I don't have to be around these people right now. And I I might need to work through this more, but I don't remember the exact moment that that switch flipped in my head, but once it did, it was a matter of months before literally my whole life looked entirely different. And I remember feeling like so trapped and tied down to so many things in my life. It was like I had been doing a specific job for over 10 years. Like, I remember being the youngest person working in the facility that I was working at, to then up to about a year and a half ago. So like 28. Um I remember like going to school thinking, okay, this is my career. This is what I'm going to be doing. I remember only like literally only having the thought in my head, okay, if I don't want to do this job, I have to take the next logical step. I have to do the like most common thing that people do in my career. I remember thinking like, man, this is not necessarily like, man, this is where I was born. I think that's a bit of an exaggeration, but just like, I don't know, just looking around and feeling like there wasn't much to be excited about. I don't want to make it seem like my life was like horrible, because it wasn't, but there just wasn't anything that was like lighting me on fire, you know? And when I got to the point of thinking, oh, you mean there are other options? You mean I could look into working in a different field? Like there are options other than, because at the time, the next logical step for me was to pay twenty to $30,000 to go to school for another year or two to then get the job that was like the next step up from what I was doing previously. And I didn't want to go into more debt. Like, that just seemed horrible to me. Excuse me. That just seemed terrible. Being in school for that long seemed horrible. I am not a school person, y'all. Um and I just remember thinking like, I am going to be stuck doing this forever. And when it finally clicked, I don't remember if it was a video that I was watching or what, but I was like, wait, I have options. Like I can create options for myself. And just that moment, just the switch flipping turned into a whole avalanche of change. Now, was it easy? No. I cried a lot. I, your girl cried a lot. But at the end of the day, I look at my life now, and don't get me wrong, are things perfect? Heck no. They are not. Um, I still struggle some days, but that 180, that one simple shift now has me living on the other side of the country in a completely different career, feeling like I have so many more options because I can still go back to my old job. Maybe not the same place, but I can still go back to the other career. I still have I s- I still have the ability to go back to the other job, but in general, I have more options if I want to move into different industries. And now that I've made the leap once, I feel more confident that if I wanted to make another big career shift or another big life shift in terms of, living out the country, I can do that now because I've already made a leap once. And obviously, very obviously, I know that there are a lot of things that go into our ability to control our lives, right? There are people with medical conditions that limit them. There are people with family obligations. We're operating within systems and constraints that do limit our ability to some degree. However, I do think that most people, most of us, me and potentially you too, have way more agency than we think we have. I didn't think personally, there were a lot of years where I did not think that it was like an option to not do what the people that loved me wanted me to do. Whether that was a certain career, whether that was taking a trip, whether it was it could be anything. Buying a car, it all sorts of things that I didn't realize that like, oh, this is this is a choice. Me being in this situation still is a choice. It's a decision that I'm making every day not to make any attempt to change it. And of course, that doesn't mean that like, oh, I'm going to decide to be this new person. I'm going to decide to be the CEO of a company and you just go off and do it, right? Like we can be realistic. This is not going to be one of those, astronaut talking to a group of elementary schoolers. You can be whatever you want, kids. um I just think that we we have the ability to look at our lives and evaluate, oh, wait, I thought this part of my life was required to stay this way. Maybe it's where you're living. And again, I want to acknowledge that we live in a society, right? Things are hard for most of us. Heck, it was hard for me. Um, it's still hard some days, but obviously, we live in a system, we live in an economy, I know. But there's there's a way to evaluate your life in a way that's realistic and in a way that doesn't put you in jeopardy, because that's another thing I'm not a big fan of, is especially I don't know what it is with a lot of these folks on the internet who will tell you quit your job, travel the world, uh you know, sell your house, do what you want, move to another country, start your business. But they don't take into account the fact that these are real lives that people are living. Like, we see a lot of the success stories, but there are also a lot of people who fall on their place. English is my one and only language, y'all. Why do I struggle with it so much? There are also, for every success story, there are also stories of people who tried it and it didn't work out. So I think it's important to take an honest evaluation of our lives, to be realistic, to be to take calculated risks, something I talk about a lot on this channel. Okay, I'm all for risk taking, but I do advocate for calculated risk taking. Okay, if you're going to take a risk, be smart about it. If you're going to jump out of a plane, do so with a parachute. Okay. um yeah, I think there's a way to take the leap responsibly and really evaluate your circumstances. I don't want none of y'all blowing up your lives, but if there's room for you to make a big change, I don't want you to be afraid to do it. Yeah. And I really think there's a middle ground between being realistic but also being empowered. Like, take the bull by the horns. And just me thinking about my life, like, there were a few things that happened today that I was like, oh wait, and we might talk about them later. We'll see. We gonna see. But yeah, I think that's the message for today, y'all. Be realistic, take calculated risks, but there are probably a few things in your life that you have way more control over than you realize. And sometimes it takes a level of research. Sometimes it takes, seeing someone else do something that you might have had in the back of your head, and seeing someone else do it kind of gives you permission to do the same thing. I don't know if I've talked about it before or not. I may have talked about it in the last video, y'all. I don't know. Um, but I talked about it, might have talked about it. In terms of like when I started solo traveling, there was something about, wanting to go places and feeling like, man, it's not even that I don't like these people, but like I could be in this place alone. I would love to actually be able to do all the things that I want to do when I'm spending this much on a flight and this much on a hotel and this much, or just like a specific way of traveling. Like, if you only travel with people who, and I'm getting to the point, I promise. If you only travel with people who are super budget travelers, but you feel like you have to go with somebody, and you're somebody that wants to spend more on a hotel and wants to spend more on excursions and wants to, rent a nicer car if you have to rent a car, there it gets to a certain point where, like, maybe I want to do this on my own. But if in your head you have to be with someone, that's it can be a difficult kind of thing to get past, a big mental block to get past. And I remember being in, like, maybe right after high school. I want to say I kind of started seeing it at the end of high school, but right after high school, and started discovering these travel bloggers, these female travel bloggers, and specifically Black female travelers who were going all over the world and having these experiences and expressing similar sentiments to what I was thinking, in terms of sometimes you just don't have anyone to go with. And I don't want to wait my whole life to see the world. Like, the reality of it is, you may not have a friend who a friend ever who ends up being your perfect travel buddy. You may never have a partner that loves traveling. You may never have the level of health and freedom that you do currently, and you may not have the ability to wait. We just don't know. And seeing them traveling the world, seeing them having these experiences and reporting back, it gave me permission to do the same, even if I didn't necessarily have the ability to do so in the moment. When I got to the time where I was able to do it, it felt like I don't even know if I have a word for it at the moment. But yeah, just getting that confirmation that, like, yeah, this is possible. That might be something that you also have to do. If you're thinking about moving out, if you're thinking about moving to a new place, if you're thinking about moving across the country, if you're thinking about changing careers, if you're thinking about whatever it happens to be, that might be something good to start. Again, calculated risks. And a good way of calculating is seeing that it's possible for someone else and then turning the mirror on yourself and your own circumstances. So, again, I say all that to say, when I discovered that I had free will, like I had the ability to make choices on aspects of my life that I did not realize that I had the ability to make choices about, life 180. Again, it took a minute. It took a minute to get like my ducks in a row. It took a lot of prayer. It took a lot of research, but it can work. So, that's the message for today, y'all. Thank you. If you don't know, my name is Alexis. I post here on YouTube every single day. Feel free to check my track record. I believe today is day 39. I think today is day 39, which also, I checked my channel today. I have 48 subscribers. Where are y'all coming from? Where are y'all coming from? And why do you want to sit here and listen to me yet? I appreciate it. Don't go nowhere. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me getting in my own head. Because I watch YouTubers like this all the time, where people are just sitting and yapping about different parts of their life, and it's interesting to me, but for some reason I don't think of myself as someone that people would want to just sit and listen to for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I got a video on here that's like 45 minutes. uh, I don't know. I don't know, but I do appreciate it. I want to do something for my 50th video because that'll be coming up quick and I'm not sure what to do. So if you guys have ideas, feel free to let me know. Cuz that's really exciting. Um yeah, if it's your first time here and you're still here listening to me talk for some reason, uh my first goal is 100 days, and like my big goal is 365 days of daily posting here on YouTube. So 50 is a big goal. 50 is halfway to my first goal. Um and man, doing a week of daily videos is a challenge. It's hard. Most people never do it. But the fact that I now have 38 going on 39 videos, like pieces of content out in the world on YouTube, is a big accomplishment. And I'm really excited about it. And I'm very excited that all 48 of you are here. So thank you. Thanks for joining this journey. Thanks for the support. Yeah, and also, y'all got comfy Auntie Lex today. I am in my moo that I got from Ghana in 2024 and sitting on my little cushion again. I don't even know if this is like the purpose of this cushion, but this is what I use it for, in like a little crisscross applesauce situation. Yeah, I'm real cozy. If y'all see, I just did my skincare, so my skin's a little, it's very fresh, let's say that. Um yeah, so it's a slightly different version of me than what y'all usually get, but again, I appreciate you being here. Thanks for listening to me yap. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. If you're still here, I appreciate it. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.